Pilots remain in short supply throughout the country. Our own Clayton Baumgarth comes to us from the Monroe County Airport. Talk about how that problem may become even more complicated.
For the last few weeks, I've been talking with different aviation training programs throughout the state about what the cause of these shortages might be and how they're working to train the next generation of pilots. And one fact is clear: those shortages are slowly starting to improve. It's going to be many years before they go away entirely. Schools with aviation programs around the state are always flush with students trying to get into the air.
You know, we're not a giant program, we're not certainly small by any means, but we will have about 400 applicants in any given year, up to 400, and we will select less than 50 to be student pilots here.
At Indiana State University, students can choose between 3 different majors in the aviation program. Across the department, there are usually 400 students enrolled, with 100 of them practicing flying at any given time. As Colbert says, it's not a large program, but many students graduating from the ISU Aviation Department go on to work at most of the major airlines and cargo companies throughout the country.
We have a lot of students go to Republic, and then Republic has flight contracts with, I think, all of the major airlines. So we see our students with all of the major airlines at this point, as well as a lot of the cargo companies. UPS and FedEx both, Atlas, we have people everywhere.
Part of that is because aviation is a smaller industry than most. According to the FAA, just under 500,000 people in the U.S. currently hold a license to fly. Compare that to another heavily trained industry, such as the 1.3 million legal professionals currently working. But Colbert says this small industry often follows a cyclical pattern of hiring and firing.
There is nothing happening now in aviation that hasn't happened before. There's giant hiring, and then there's a scare, and then there's furloughs, and then people wait around, and then there's giant hiring, and then there's some scares, and then there's some furloughs, and then people wait around, and I don't think that's going to stop.
But something big is on the horizon. The Regional Airline Association says that nearly half of today's qualified pilot workforce face a federally mandated age 65 retirement in the next 15 years. Even sooner, 13.5% of the pilot workforce must retire by 2029. This Silver Tsunami, as it has been dubbed, not only affects pilots, but other jobs in the aviation industry.
We oversee and manage the Indianapolis International Airport, as well as Central Indiana's largest airport system, and about 25% of our seasoned workforce is eligible at retirement age by 2026.
This includes jobs such as engineers, construction workers, on-site police and fire officers, frontline staff, and more. The Indianapolis Airport Authority has been marketing summer internship programs as well as apprenticeship opportunities to attract younger people into the workforce. They've also added opportunities for employees to grow and train within the airport.
Everything that we're doing is goes back to what our executive director calls public value. And so, you've heard the old adage sometimes about, oh, if you train them, they'll leave. Or if you develop them, they'll leave. And he doesn't kind of stick to that model.
Not only is the Silver Tsunami coming, but general pilot shortages have also challenged the industry at large, causing flight limitations and increased costs. Much of the shortage has been brought on by the remnants of COVID, where the industry shrunk then exploded in popularity shortly after the pandemic. There's also the cyclical shrink growth pattern taking place simultaneously.
The students that are getting in are going to be in pretty good shape. The students coming through in 20 years are going to be sitting right seat for a while.
Programs like Indiana State's and Purdue's are trying to get as many students as they can through, but there's only so many students they can take at any given time. One cause is the time requirement needed to become licensed. In 2010, a new law raised the logged flight time necessary to become eligible from 250 to 1,500 hours. Some have argued that number should be reduced, but Succo says it's ultimately a debate of quality versus quantity.
What's the quality of the training that we are trying to accomplish versus the quantity of the flight time? Because theoretically, you could have 500 hours of hot air balloon time, and that counts towards the 1,500. So what's the quality of that time?
Then there are other programs, such as the LIFT Academy, that focus on getting those flight hours as quickly as possible. LIFT was founded in 2018 in Indianapolis by Republic Airways as a way to get more pilots in the cockpit seats faster.
We couldn't really rely on the existing supply, the existing programs to generate the volume of pilots and the pilots with the kind of training we needed at the time. So it was incumbent upon us to take it on ourselves.
Colbert says that a hiring boom in February or March next year will be a huge help, but the Silver Tsunami will require many more new pilots to fill in the gaps.
There's a ton of factors involved in that, but we believe that we just need to keep the pace that we have always had to produce the pilots that are needed at a really high level.
Industry shortages such as this have the potential to affect all levels of flying, from international-sized airports to regional facilities like the one here in Monroe County. For Indiana News Desk, I'm Clayton Baumgarth.